Hello, my name is Brian of Hessens County. I'm glad that you could join us again today for another TTRPG Talk. This series discusses tabletop role-playing games and related materials, suggests ideas for your own games, and takes a look at some of my own materials. Today, however, we're going to be looking at the XD6 SRD created by Michael Lowe of Luck of Legends. This SRD sort of advertises itself as a system for over-the-top action or drama, intended for dice goblins and those who get a thrill out of pushing the +1 dice on your digital roller an obscene number of times. The XD6 system is built around a betting D6 mechanic. Each character starts with a pool of dice that they can utilize for any action that they take during play. The player then decides how many dice that they want to apply towards a particular action, in part based on how much effort they want to apply to this action, and how many successes that they need in order to be able to achieve the effects and breadth of impact that they're targeting. Any dice that rolls a 4 or higher contributes to a success, with 6s exploding. For those of you who don't know what that means, normally this means that you keep your success and then you get to roll the die again, potentially leading to a cascade of successes. Any result of a 3 or lower means that you actually lose the die, representing wasted effort or resistance that you need to overcome as part of your attempt. Basically, you're exhausting yourself, right? These go into a special pool that the GM keeps until your character regains some of their dice in the narrative through doing things like resting and stuff, or until the end of the session. Ones, however, are special in that they make you re-roll one of your success dice, potentially making you lose out on that success and another die in the process if it comes up with another 1 or 3. 1s and 6s, however, also cancel each other out. So you don't lose a die, but you also don't get the success or exploding die from the D6. To give you an idea of how many dice we're talking about here, the SRD provides a chart that illustrates in a 6-step scale comparing the number of successes that you will need in order to achieve a certain intended effect or area of impact. This runs the gambit from 1 to 3 successes for your average effect impacting a single person, to a 16 to 18 successes, resulting in a mythical effect impacting the entire planet or potentially even wider. So to bring this even further into perspective, the 3 sample characters that Lowe provides as stand-ins to sort of illustrate ways that you could use the mechanics of this game are the Incredible Hulk with a pool of 77 dice, a stand-in for Doctor Who with 40 dice, and Violet Ballader from the A Series of Unfortunate Events series with 19 dice. Therefore, taking a look at this and looking at the chart, your average D&D character at high levels would likely only ever be able to do actions hitting maybe the 3rd or 4th level on this scale, normally only going any higher if they utilize, like, artifacts or like the wish spell or something ridiculous like that. Superheroes in like the comics and stuff, mythic or godlike characters in ancient legends would only occasionally be able to do actions on the higher tiers of this effects. And, that's how ridiculous we're talking here. Lowe also provides crunchy mechanics that you could layer on top of this by integrating a list of moves set up to kind of fit your setting or style of play. You can then integrate abilities and drawbacks to create more dynamic characters. These would tweak your character's relationships with the dice mechanics and moves in certain narrative situations or when using particular move types. For example, in a superhero or crime-based criminal story, I might give my character an amazing advantage when attempting to investigate something. So based on the short list of moves that Michael provides, that would be like the figuring something out move. But they could also might have a drawback in that they can only use this this advantage, this ability, when they are physically able to examine the location where the event occurred. thinking back to the way like Sherlock Holmes would just like walk into a space and say, okay, this is what happened here, here, and there, and this is why, that kind of thing. Character advancement in XD6 is also rather unique. At the end of the session, all of the dice from all of the characters that are in the GM's pool, so basically dice that were lost as a result of attempting actions, right, are then rolled all together and totaled, and then that total is divided up amongst all of the characters at the table. Um, in the form of experience points that in this system are called pips. These points can then be used to purchase dice for your character to expand your character's dice pool at a cost of 6 pips apiece, which makes sense, of course. You can also use it to remove drawbacks, purchase abilities, stuff like that. Normally also in factors of 6. So like if I have like a really, really awesome advantage, maybe it costs me 24 pips. Drawbacks have a negative cost so that you can actually use them to add abilities to your character at character creation, depending upon how you want to run things like balance and stuff in your setting or your game. Overall, I would have to agree with Michael's assessment that this is a great game for strong action and drama of an epic nature. The combined fact that great efforts have cost, and the fact that those costs in turn drive future character growth and development, if applied correctly, fits quite well into a number of different genres. While the art and the design in the SRD have an air of kind of a comic or childish nature, like, I mean, just look at that logo, um, akin to like a Saturday cartoon or a shonen anime, I would definitely like to stress that this system could also work for dark and brutal or serious action-packed settings built around grit and sacrifice. The differences in the number of dice that characters could start off with can also potentially provide a dynamic range and abilities and effects for your characters that, if you're really careful about how you implement it, could also be quite interesting. While mulling over this fact, the very first thing that actually popped into my head was the sort of dynamics between the characters in. Sorry, I just blinked on that. Iron Widow. Thank you. In particular, Gao is definitely not on the same level of like power and influence, especially towards the end of the book, that Wu Zijian or Li Ximin are at, but he still has a really critical part to play in the story, partly due to the pretty severe narrative limitations on the fighting duo and what they can do, but then also his family's influence in like wealth and media and stuff like that. So that would be potentially a really interesting place where Gao would have, Yizi would potentially have like fewer dice, but might be able to utilize them in ways that the other two characters can't, or at least you has certain advantages and things that makes his smaller dice pool more powerful than the other characters might be, like off the battlefield or something like that. Um, Another thing that has also occurred to me would be that this would be an interesting system for games outside of your traditional TTRPG. For example, the dice betting system could be a very useful mechanic as a generic resource and action pool for a more strategy focused or like 4X big picture games than your typical TTRPG, or at least ones that have elements from those genres. For example, I could think of this being really useful in, like, let's say, a space opera, where your players are leaders of a confederation or maybe admirals in a fleet, and the dice are actual individual ships and assets that they have, that they then can, use and potentially risk losing to do actions on the field of battle or like in a strategic action of some sort or another. Another alternative to this could be that your character is the ship itself, and the dice are things like crew, ship power, ammunition, fuel, the various things that actually keep your ship running. That style of game could actually also be modified with each player character maybe being like the captain of a sailing ship or something like that. Or maybe you could do something kind of akin to what I did with Urcat, um, where it's basically managed by an AI. Basically, like the AI is the captain, right? Or at least is the character. And then the different advantages and drawbacks that you would apply to your AI character's ship would be like quirks that the ship itself or the crew has picked up during the course of service, or maybe hallmarks of the ship's class and design. So yeah, basically this is a system that is potentially really useful for creating really dramatic action, and in many ways shares some similarities to like the Breathless SRD, in that you have, every action has a cost, and you're slowly kind of burning yourself down potentially, but could be highly rewarded for it in the end. But definitely applying that concept on a very different scale. Well, thank you all again for joining us for this next installment in our SRD mini series. I hope you all enjoyed discussing the XD6 SRD, and that you consider it for your next epic adventure. Thank you all for joining us again today, and remember to rate your itch purchases. If you'd like to see more material on this topic, please feel free to subscribe to the YouTube channel or check out the blog at hessenscounty.com.